Hello, it's another Friday, and today I have another book review for you. My name is Heather. I am mama to 7, ages 2 to 14, and I am trying to share book reviews on Friday or author spotlights, book series, both for children and for mamas. And today I'm coming to you from outside because my kids are too loud in the room I usually work in. But also is a beautiful day. Praise the Lord for the sunshine. Today I have a book review for you about that is for mamas. This isn't one for your children. This is one for you mamas. And many of you have probably heard of the author, Cindy Rollins, and you may know her from homeschool spheres, from the mason jar, I don't know. She has a podcast. It says something about mason jars. Um, and then also, she's on several other podcasts, interviews, and a big name in the homeschool world, especially for Charlotte Mason mamas. She has a wonderful book that I've mentioned before in my homeschooling post about called Morning Time, A Liturgy of Love, which is just a wonderful anthology of resources, materials, and how-tos. She also has a wonderful book that I'll be sharing about in a few weeks called Hallelujah. That is just an amazing Advent devotional. So if you're looking already, go check that one out. I'll be spotlighting that here in a couple weeks. But today I want to talk to you about her most recent book. So you may have read Mere Motherhood a few years ago, which is wonderful, but she has more recently come out with Beyond Mere Motherhood. And I know I'm a little late to the game. It's been out for a couple months now, maybe even a year. I don't know. But I just really, yeah, about a year. But I have loved this book. I finally finished it, and it was such an encouragement to me as a mama. And so I wanted to share a few good things for you. Now, the first one is very relatable. Cindy has this just very relatable kind of writing style that I enjoy. As a mama with a big family, I can relate to it in that way. But I think even if I had only a few children, it would be relatable. This one was more, this was really good for in the trenches of those first few early years. Now my kids are getting older, and I still see so much goodness in this book, but this comes from a different standpoint, really. And in this one, she really focuses on her. I feel like there's a lot of humility here. She talks about things that you as a mother need to know, not the practical how-tos or anything like that, though there is plenty of that in there. It's more about just developing yourself as a person, as mothers are people too, as it says, moms are people too. And we spend a lot of time, especially in the Charlotte Mason sphere, you hear, children are born persons, and that's what we take into account when we are educating them, is their unique individuality. But a lot of times we mothers kind of get lost in our children, especially when homeschooling, but even when you're not homeschooling your children. It's easy for us to get lost in that motherhood. And there is so much more to that, you as a mama. And she talks about ways that you can just cultivate that personhood. I'll just read you the chapter titles real quick. There's The Thinking Mother, Contemplative, Reading, Natural, Active, Studious, Creative, Beautiful, Suffering, Wise Mother. Each one of those is a different kind of character or personality trait, and you may have some of them, or you may have all of them, or you may have more. That's neither here nor there, but she kind of touches on why they make up her unique motherhood and why she thinks that those particular characteristics are beneficial to really all mothers, and how they can benefit you both in your mothering, but also in your personal growth and your personhood. Each chapter has kind of her little backstory and scenario regarding whatever the topic is, and then she'll spotlight somebody she knows in real life who just demonstrates it very well. And then she will have a section that is the ideal versus reality, because so many times we're building castles in the air and not necessarily focused on what is true for our time, our situation. And she really helps kind of grasp that. And then, sorry, there's an ant crawling on it. And then that ends each chapter with a section of suggested reading materials and some action points for you as a mother. And what I really loved about this is not just the humility and relatability that she writes with, but also the fact that it brings me back to my place in the Lord over and over again. Because yes, I have all these many things. As mothers, we often feel like we're just spinning plates all the time, and it becomes overwhelming. And the purpose and point of motherhood is to direct little ones back to the Lord. And she just shows how it is not up to us. It is up to the Lord using us and how we can allow Him to use us in our daily lives. And she just demonstrates that really well. One of my favorite quotes in there is, let me see if I can find it real quick. It's like the simplest quote, and it's not even like one that she probably would think anybody would ever find encouraging, but it says, don't make it harder than it has to be. And it was regards to nature journaling, which I definitely need that reminder for nature journaling. But that has kind of been my mantra with homeschooling and motherhood in general is I need to simplify things. It's not that I need to be minimalistic. I just need to be realistic and I need to take out some of the frills and start at the base. What is my goal? What is it that I'm hoping to achieve from whatever we're doing? What is the bare minimum I need to do to accomplish that? I can add other things later, but I need to get the basics down first. And so she puts that in her nature section, but I feel like that's just a quote for life that stop making things harder than it needs to be. It does get heavier as you go through. The last couple chapters are about suffering and about the wise mother, not so much the educational wise. She talks about kind of those kind of growing yourself educationally in the first few chapters, which are so good, especially for the homeschool mother who wants to continue learning with her children. But at the end, it gets a little heavier. And as somebody who has recently had a year of some suffering and things, I found so much encouragement there. I did want to read you that quote real quick because I thought this was wonderful. And it says, the suffering hadn't created the joy. It had just stripped all the layers of me away enough so that I could see the joy. And just that encouragement that if we are Christians, if we've trusted in the Lord, then we have the joy of the Lord. But sometimes we let our suffering and maybe bitterness or anger, whatever the emotion is, because here it's talking about suffering, because that becomes very all-encompassing, just everything, and it's hard to see past it. But it could be any emotion, and it's when we go through those hard times that most often we are able to take away all the nonsense, all the chaos, all the silliness, and see what really matters. And it's not that you're given new joy. It's not that the suffering brings joy. It's that the suffering allows you to see the joy that was there to begin with. I know after my father passed, we took the kids for a week and we went to a ministry house that they have for ministry families for vacation, so to speak, in the middle of winter. And it was unbearably cold and we couldn't do much outside or anything, but it was just a time of being together and resting, and I was able to find joy there. I was able to see in the midst of the pain and struggle that the joy of my children, not that they were rejoicing, they were suffering too, but just the little joys, we had, I think on that trip, we got 4 brand new chip varieties and they all got to try them, and it was like a taste testing thing and they had a blast. And it was just seeing that joy and seeing the smiles on their face, not the activity so much, but just the joy that they bring me as their mother. And I'm digressing, but I just wanted to encourage you to pick up this Beyond Mere Motherhood. I think this is great for the older mom too, because there's a lot of looking forward. My oldest is 14, so we're not that close, but there will be a day when we're empty nesters. Who knows? I'm currently pregnant, so it'll be a while. But my point is that it's good to have that thought that their children are not our own. We are preparing them to leave, and just kind of her struggle with that over time, and how we could just see our place in the Lord and our role as mothers in the Lord is preparing our children for a future, and to not get so wrapped up in our children that our entire identity is tied to them, and because that is detrimental both to us and our children and our marriage. She doesn't touch on the marriage part as much in this book, but it is also there. And so I just wanted to encourage you. This is a great book. They're both wonderful. I think they're both good for new and old moms. However, I felt like when I was a younger mom and in the trenches more, this really helped me kind of see things. Now, as I'm getting more of a vision forward and seeing that the time is short with my children and understanding that more, there was so much that I wanted to grasp onto in this book, which is more of a legacy and looking back on not what I would have done different, but a looking back and realizing what was really important and what really mattered in the end. And so I just want to encourage you to go check out Cindy Rollins' new book, Beyond Mere Motherhood, and you can find her on several podcasts and different places. So I hope this has been a blessing to you. If you have any questions, let me know. Let us go forth and strive to serve the Lord and our families wholeheartedly. Have a blessed week.